you could always say about me, man, one thing for certain, two things for sure, you can always count on me. I'm always going to be prepped, and I'm always going to bring the right amount of energy to actually give us a chance to do a successful MythLab. So you can always count on me, man. You can book me in. Yeah, I know I won't be coming on at the same time every day, but I really don't miss days, man. Like yesterday, some stuff happened. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to do a late stream, but I got it done. I got it in for you guys. And that's why you guys can always come back and check out this stuff. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, man, like there is no slippage in my overall game. Like this is not me, right? I do not slip. And I've been through it, guys. Like I told you yesterday, I was scrapping with some people online. That's continued into today, which is weird because I'm one of the people, I don't typically be liking to get into it with people. I'm a pretty mellow dude. But if you bring it to me, man, I can't help it. I'm one of those personalities where I'm a hot fire, man. Like what we're going to be talking about right now. We're going to be talking about some sun deities right now. And like, man, this isn't in the right order that I want them to be. So now I've got this time to kind of get it fixed up, right? Right. Okay. So let me see if I can get you here and things on Malina here. Right. Okay. So this is how it should be, right? Because today I wanted to talk about something that we don't always get, and that's the sun goddess. We know about all the male solar deities, right? Like we link them with the solar aspect almost exclusively, right? Or at least those are the ones that we talk about the most. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to throw a little run and a little shine on it. Some of the more powerful solar deities that were goddesses, right? And the first ones you see we got lined up here. And every single one of these is a different goddess. Like they come about in a different format. We got three different cultures. We have the Americas and Malina here over my right shoulder here. This is the right shoulder, right? We got Amaterasu, who is the Japanese version. And then we have Sekhmet, who I'm going to talk about in detail because Sekhmet obviously is the most known for tripping up here. Like Sekhmet has the richest mythology. Like they actually all have some pretty good mythologies, actually. And I'm going to talk about their mythologies because I think it'll be helpful for everyone. So if you're here to get a mythology lesson or just share some thoughts on mythology, I'm up for it, man. I'm down with it. That's what we're going to go to. So I'm going to give you as much information as I can about these three goddesses and not hold anything back because that's the kind of person I am, right? That's who I am. Okay. So let's talk about it, right? So first we have is Malina, and she is obviously an Inuit goddess. And let me talk. I pulled up some additional, like some supplemental work for you guys, right? Because I wanted to be able to talk about them with some historical context. Because mythology without historical context is kind of, it's kind of meaningless. So I'm going to run a little bit of historical context. Now, right off the bat, if we're having a competition about who is the OG of this, it's clearly Sekhmet, right? It's Sekhmet, like no doubt. Like she's far older. And when we start talking about Sekhmet, we're going back like 3,000 years. So, 3,000 BCE. So with the current era, we're 2026, I believe it is. So she's got, over 5,000 years. We've been talking about that, right? Very powerful, and she's manifested in a lot of formats, and she's kind of unique. There's still not a lion goddess like that. But we're going to talk about Malina, and this is a very, very different type of goddess. In fact, solar energy represents something very different for her as well. So this deity here, this is going to be, common era, right? The two will talk about Malina, who looks like Chili, man. She really looks like Chili from TLC, right? That's who she looks like. And I've always kind of seen Chili in this light. So this is kind of a good one, right? So this is kind of a good one. So her role is tied to, now, first of all, she's an Inuit. So to get an understanding of who she is, like we got to understand the people, right? So her core identity, who she is, to find out who Killer the dog was, you got to ask some real questions. Culturally, he comes from the Inuit people, so we're talking Arctic North America, Greenland. The areas Donald Trump be trying to take over right now. This is where she comes from, and I hope she's steady on providing defense for her people. She is associated with the sun, but particularly daylight, particularly warmth, and survival. Survival is a necessary trait for these people when you worship her, right? Because if she doesn't come to the party with you guys, if she doesn't show up there, then you know who doesn't show up? Survival doesn't show up, right? And if survival doesn't show up, well, you know when survival doesn't show up, who shows up is always death, right? Death will call you and be like, everybody's calling, right? Everybody's like, who's going to be there? Survival called you and said, yo, what's up, B? Is Malina going to be there? And it's like, no, Malina's not going to be there. So survival said, I'm not coming. And it didn't come. But you know who's like, oh, you're not going to? Well, shoot, I'll go. That was death. Death is like, since Malina and survival aren't going to show up, I'm going to show up, right? And as we see her, she's always symbolized as like this solar disc, so very common solar disc, each one of them having a solar disc representation. That's obviously very important for getting to the nitty and the gritty of who these deities are. And that's what they're showing you, right? She is shown as a running figure, and that'll be important. I'll explain the mythology of this. And also, she's often pursued by her brother, who is the moon. So they give us a moon tale within like her manifestation, like the moon and sun relationships comes out of this deity stories here. So she is the survival deity. She is the embodiment of the sun, not distant and regal, but she is active. She is among the people. She's moving around. She's lighting up your day, and she is necessary for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. That's what we're dealing with in the areas that she's in that Greenland, Iceland, North America, Arctic area. So she is survival-based solar theology, right? You worship her because this is life and death. She's not abstract. She's not like when you talk about like other concepts like righteousness or morality. She is not an abstract. She is a real live day-to-day. You need her every day. And she is a part of this creation aspect and this aspect of order. And it's expressed through her movement cycles. So this is she kind of reminds me of how we view Atum Ra in that same regard, because it's her movement keeps, she's tracking her movement across the sky. This is a cycle. This is long darkness versus long days, because they experience day and night in the Arctic far differently than we experience it here in North America, the American South, which is where I am, by the way. Anyone from the South? Hey, I'm here. I'm in the South right now. She's also about escape and pursuit, because she's chased by her brother, the moon, which is a very weird, this is a very weird story, because her brother not only went to grape, but also incest. Just like he just got all jazzed up. Like the day before this happened, like most guys would go to their sister, like you're getting a little randy or whatever, and you're like, look, I know you got a friend. What about Tammy? What about Keisha? Right? This is what a normal brother does. He starts gaming on all your friends. Oh, why don't you invite oh, you're going to have a sleepover with your girlfriends? Yeah, I'm just going to hang out. And, it's creepy, but at least the cool ones just try to, hang out and try to, look cool in the background, like, hey, what's up, girls? And not even trip, right? That's what you try to do, so they can be like, oh, he doesn't even care if we're there. He can't do that. He tries to grape his own sister, and that's a problem. This really breaks their bond. It's a very sad story, because she was, literally bonded with her brother. This was, her closest companion. They lived together, right? So this is really disruptive for her as a person. As a person, right? You can imagine, Kat, what's going on? Yes, I'm back for the evening lab. That's Kat that's in here right now, right? Just saw that. Okay. So Malina is devastated that her brother would do it. And I'm devastated for her and for her brother as well, because they would never get to be, obviously they can never be cool again. Obviously, he broke that bond, and they would never be healed again. They'll never be, this is worse than when the Fat Boys broke up, because they're never going to get back together. But she remains in her functions as a sustainer of warmth in the frozen world, okay? She is a regulator of time in extreme seasons, like the long days. She is the embodiment of endurance and persistence. Now, the mythology story that I talked about with her is, like I said, it's a messed up story where she's fleeing her brother after he violates her, right? After this act goes down. And so she's running across the sky holding a torch. This becomes the sun. Her brother follows, and he becomes the moon, and that creates the eternal chase. So this myth encodes a lot of stuff. We get a lot from mythology. There's a lot banging in this one, right? Not only do you get trauma, this forces this transformation to being a cosmic level being. Also, so she kind of goes from being regular to being a god. This is actually an ascension story as well. She becomes motion. So motion is the creation of time. Her fleeing now sets time in motion. The cycle will start, and her light is constant resistance against the dark, because the dark meant cold, and that meant you froze, and that meant you died, and that meant when you died, you weren't alive anymore. So this is where she comes at it. Now, we've talked about her region. She goes all the way back to Arctic Greenland, and their world is defined by extreme darkness, right? Like extreme, like polar nights and extreme light, which like midnight sun. So they live in a world of extremes, right? And they've adapted it with their mythology. And it's been an amazing ride. So she is not just symbolic, she is the environmental reality turned into a myth. That's what she is. And like I said, the earliest forms, of course, this is oral tradition, so you didn't have written canon about her. But earliest traditions, we're talking at least 1,000 years common era. So we're going to say like 1,200 years that they've been carrying the story. It's a classic story. The story with her brothers comes around the 1800s. It's about taboo. It's about the eternal chase. The sun is not the ruler here. And then, of course, they survived somewhat during colonial expansion. So that colonial era, about the 1800s to the 1900s, is always trying. But she becomes entered into global awareness. She's not global worship, but globally, we start to know her story around the world. I find out the story. I share the story with you. So again, we're living oral tradition right now. This is literally what it looks like. So she has survived and she has endured. She's been a part of this. Now, cosmically, she represents this balance with life and endurance. She is fire, right, in this element in her form as sustaining fire, sustaining energy. So she represents the thin line between life and extinction. And you can't get much harder than that, man. That's a tough choice. That is a tough choice. Like every day I'm like, what t-shirt am I going to wear? Right? Today I'm like, I'm going to put on the hip hop t-shirt. Tomorrow I'm going to put on the blazer. It's not life or death, but that's what she represents, is life or death. And through modern interpretation is really how she lives right now, because we're still talking about it. She's still featured in like any old books of that region. And maybe there's still some Inuit people who are actively worshiping her. Maybe her name's still around. Maybe they refer to the sun as Malina, which I will do from now. When I see the sun, I'm going to be like, what's up, Malina, right? I know where's your brother at? Because I'm looking out for that son of a bitch, right? Looking out for that bastard, right? But she is live. She is direct. She is fully represented. And this is the deity that is carried on. So again, not a lot of sun goddesses. So I definitely had to put her on deck. And I've talked about her a little bit in the past, right? And how impressed I am with this character. Again, a tragic story, right? She's not actively worshipped, but she's culturally still alive. There's no organized religions around her at this point. But hey, that changes. Maybe I'll start one up and you guys can all join me with it, right? Okay. So the next one, and this is another, like all three of these have great myth stories that get more impactful. So why am I blurry? Whoa, okay. So each one of them packs it in here, man. Like packs it in here with trauma. And I'm going to show you how it gets different in the end. Because we go from Malina, who's one of my favorites, right, to Amaterasu, who is the Japanese sun goddess. And I love this sun goddess, and I love this representation because light is very different. Again, we were like, the sun is not just light. I'm out of focus again. Why are you losing focus? What's going on, homie? Am I shining too bright? Anyway, so she is the sun goddess, right? And she is known as, from Shinto belief systems, so ancient Shinto belief systems, she goes all the way back to about 700 years common era. So she's got some life to her, man. She's been around, we're going to say like 1,500 years or something like that. We've been talking about her. So she's had a good run. She was written into their classic sacred text, I would say, right? The Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki. So this is like their canon for religion, for at least the Shinto part of it, and how they talked about the deity. So she was not relying on oral tradition in the same way that Malina was doing it originally. Now her symbol is the mirror, and that would be important because the mirror was how they tricked her ass, right? Like again, she's all that. She's a little vain, right? She got lured out of hiding by the mirror seeing herself. She looked so good to herself that she's like, hey, who is that? That's what she did. But I'll tell you about the mythology here. Okay. But what she represents is the central soul authority of Japan. The light does not just define the world, but its legitimacy itself. And she was tasked with this. When she was born, she was given this task to bring light. So she is illumination, right? She will bring clarity, not just light. Again, the sun is not just light. The sun also brings clarity, and she brings structure right along with it. She's got two things over her shoulders. She's got structure and she's got clarity. And she's bringing both in here and she's dropping it off for all of us, which is great. When she withdraws, chaos begins. And this is a central part of her revelation. She is the source of harmony and societal order. She keeps everybody from going crazy. I mean, you'd see her, you calm down too. You're like, oh man, Amaterasu is here. Like, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to stop acting crazy and using foul language, right? That's what she does. She is divine justice for rulership. She is the stabilizer of cosmic balance. That's a lot of gigs for anyone to be handling. Now, in the myth, she has a conflict with her brother. Again, these sun deities, the brother of these sun deities are kind of jerks, right? And this is Sasanu. Sasanu is her brother, and I think he might be also like the moon deity here, but whatever it was, he didn't want to do what he was supposed to. So he scares her one day because he got all mad and yelled at her. And, you know, she's very quiet. She's very demure, right? So what does she do? She goes into hiding. She goes into hiding, and the world goes into darkness. So in this tale, she kind of takes on a little bit of Demeter, or I'm not going to say she takes on Demeter, but it's similar to what we see with Demeter, because now the crops don't grow, like nothing's happening. Nothing is nothing, right? Like life is not lifing. Existence is not existing because she's around. Like you heard that song? Like this is real. I'm gonna school you guys. I'm sorry. I want to get this right. I don't sing that often. Me. Okay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, right? I'm so sad when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. This is hundreds of thousands of years later that this song was written. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, but I dedicate this to her. This is what I would see, girl. Ain't no sunshine when you're gone, right? I feel lost when you're away. Ain't no sunshine when you're gone, and this house just ain't no home. That's literally what happened. And it was so bad that all the other gods got together and like, hey guys, we're in a lot of trouble here. This is what they said to themselves. All the rest of the gods, every other single one of them, gods of like the moon and magic and fortune and all this stuff, were like, man, none of this works if the sun isn't here. She is the star. She's the star. She was Beyonce, right? Of this group, she was Beyonce. You take her off the group and you're going to have trouble with it, right? And that's what it was. So she was everything. She was literally order. So she goes away and everything goes to crap, and all the guys are like, we got to do something. So they tried all these techniques to lure her out of there. So what they did was, which is brilliant, is they put a mirror out there in front of the door. They put a mirror and they were like, they started laughing, right? Yeah, Inanna too. Man, I'm going to talk about Inanna in a whole different way, because me and her got a personal, me and Inanna went to high school together, right, by the way. Anyway, but so everything's in chaos, and she's like, they put a mirror out there. She sees the mirror, and she's like, holy, what? Who is that? And that's what lure her out, and then they block the cave, and they're like, now gotcha. Get back to work and put the sun back up, which she did, fortunately, and everything comes back. So not only is she the emergence of the sun and light and restoration through order through restoration, she also is linked to kingship. She was the legitimacy of kingship came through her. She is directly tied to the Japanese imperial family. She is the concept of divine rulership. So years later, remember with World War II, and America was like, look, Japan, surrender, give up your emperor. And they're like, we can't give up our emperor because our emperor is also tied to our belief system. That's why the emperor couldn't just be handed over like that, like, you know, like they want him to step down. Like, this is our spiritual guide. Our symbol is the sun. She represents that divinity. So this is what we see when we talk about this figure here. Like, she was far more important than most other figures, you know, most other sun gods, because she was tied to a lot of other parts of them. Let me see if I can find the Japanese flag, right? because I love this symbol too. And when you see it, it kind of ties us all together, right? And they're always talking, like Japan, they're always talking about the rising sun, like the sun will rise again. Like they're all about this sun mythology. One of the longest kind of like solar worshiping cultures. I think that's still hanging on to it. Like they still hang on to it, despite, look, the war was the war, right? Those things happen between countries, unfortunately. But again, we can still appreciate like Japanese culture and their long history and this connection to the sun. So they're showing you on their flag, yeah, the red dot, right? That's it, like the solar deity. And they were, man, you know what? I'm going to show you another one, and this kind of ties into it. I'm glad you. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a good one here. This is where hours and hours of reading comic books was not completely a waste. I'm just trying to find a good image here. Okay, I guess this will work here. Because this is, obviously comic books tie culture together. Comic books are extremely important, guys. We know how important. God damn it, I can't get this image. Okay. I'm trying to get one. Let me see if I can grab one here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. There you go. And let's save you. Okay. This is actually one of the coolest characters in Marvel too. And this is Sunfire, right? If you can see this. So the entirety of this being, yeah, I'm that comic book dude. I'm old school in comics. I don't read comics anymore, but I still know like a lot of the roots. So this is Sunfire, and you can see how he represents that whole ideology, right? He is Sunfire. His symbol kind of looked like he was like their Captain America, essentially. It's the way that I perceive the character, was he's like their Captain America. So he's wearing their flag. So again, it's cultural pride. I don't know who down at Marvel Comics said, let's do that. Hopefully it was someone of Japanese descent who understood. But whatever happened, they got it done. So this character exists. He's been, I don't think they even use this character anymore. It would be great if they did, if they brought it back, but we'll see. But you can still see that the legacy stays consistent when we represent the culture. So big up to Japan. I'm just showing you guys some love culturally on the stuff that you guys do, all the way from mythology. And comic books are a lot of times like the holders of myth. Comic books and video games keeps mythologies going. I know it's crazy, but it is. So cosmically, on her cosmic level, she is authority. She is pure solar light. So that's also about purification, right, as well. And she is the sun as foundation for all. That's why it's so important in Japan, right? That symbol of the sun is absolutely very important to her. So she is still, culturally, she's still very relevant. She's still represented. She's still a central figure in Shinto practice, which Shinto practice is still alive right now. Let me pull up some information. Okay. She goes to the classic period. So through imperial Japan, she is the symbol of their identity. She is central to the emperor's divine legacy, right? So she is tied to the emperor's legacy. In post-World War II, she's still actively worshipped right now. There's an Isgran shrine, which is rebuilt every 20 years. And it has been since 690 Common Era. So she's still absolutely a part of the practices, and she's different because she's still actively venerated. So this is where she really is kind of the separator. So I would say if we go all the way back to her earliest time, let's say, we're talking 700 to now, 700 to right now. So a pretty good 1500 year stretch. And definitely we see the influence that it's had on Japanese culture that's still strong. So I'm kind of glad we could tie this one in here. Okay. So we see like three different types of goddesses, what she represents. Malina, again, being survival, right? Amaterasu being legitimacy, kingship, authority, order. Now we're going to get into somebody who ain't doing none of that stuff. Now you notice like the first two female goddesses endured some nonsense at the hand of their male counterparts. And that's sad. That's sad that actually is that was put on them. Because these jerks couldn't act right, this becomes a part of their myth story forever. So partially influenced, maybe not defined by what the bad male characters did, right? You got to be better as brothers. Your sister. Be nice to your sister. If there's not one chick in the whole world you're going to be cool with, it's your own dang sister, right? You're going to be her protector, probably one of your first friends, right? So I just think about it in that way. So they both went to it. They both went through it. And here's what the separator. I'm going to bring this last one here. And she didn't go through that, right? And I'm going to show you why she didn't go through that, because ain't nobody messing with Sekhmet. We can just say that right now. Sekhmet is my third coming into this party. And like I said earlier, she is the original. She is the OG. She is the one, like, you do not want a problem with Sekhmet. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth when I tell you that you do not want a problem with Sekhmet? And you can see she's got her solar crown here, right? And this is her, right? This is the bad one here, right? You don't want no problems with her. Now, she is the other side. In some mythology, she is said to be the other side of Hathor, okay? And this is important for the mythology. And I'm going to show you guys right now, like this. I don't know if you ever can see this, right? The swords of Sekhmet right here. You see the two curved swords? That's the swords of Sekhmet, right? So this is me kind of, when I'm marking myself as, like, if she ever shows up, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm one of the guys. I'll have your beer ready for you later on. As soon as you're done killing everybody else, because I know you're here for business. She's about wrath. She is the solar energy, all about wrath. Like, yeah, everybody else did something, and she showed up here, and I'm like, well, it wasn't me. She starts looking for whoever did this. It was not me. And she'll look at that. She's like, okay, he's cool. Put him over there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. You guys are going to get in trouble. Because I remember what she did last time. Like, what she did last time. Okay, let me tell you a little about who she is, right? This is ancient Kemet. She is the oldest one of all the deities that we've talked about, and the most problematic. Like, nobody's happy when she shows up, especially her. That's the main thing. Nobody's going to enjoy this, especially her. She's going to enjoy the later part when she starts killing everybody. When she's like, yeah, she's solar fire, she's war, she's destruction, and she's healing. So she can heal with her burning fire. And she didn't like that part that much. Like, what happened was, okay, let me tell you guys the scenario. All right. This is a long time ago. This is a lion-headed woman. And let me tell you something. If you see a lion-headed woman, you better leave her alone. I don't know. I don't care where you are. If you see a woman and her symbol is a lion head, leave her alone, because she's already telling you. By wearing that, she's already telling you. Look at her face. She's like, yeah, come on. Do what you got to do, and I'm going to show you about this, right? So she is not the sun itself. So she's already different. She is the weaponization of the sun. She gets the raw power, like Ra goes up in the sky. Like, I saw Ra the other day, or this morning. I was like outside getting my walk. And he's up there and he's beaming light. I'm like, hey, what up, big homie? Charge me up, right? Fuel my cells up. That's what I'm doing. She's not that part. She's that part that burns you up when it's troublesome. You're like, okay, all right, that's enough, Sekhmet. Okay, that's enough. Like, I don't care. You could have sunblock 1 million and you're not going to be able to resist her. So her story is that she is heat and consuming. She's overwhelming heat. She is consuming energy. She is divine punishment, and she is destruction that leads to renewal. And why is it renewal? Because she burnt up everything that was there and you have to start all over again. It's renewing you because you don't exist and somebody took your place. It's renewing where you lived at because she burnt it down to the ground and then you had to buy a new house, right? So it is renewal because she burnt everything up. She is the destroyer of enemies. She is the enforcer of divine will as the Eye of Ra. That's a label for your resume. If you see someone, okay, I see you worked at, oh, I see you were the Eye of Ra. Okay, either that's a great hire or a terrible one. Depends on what you're hiring her for. If you're hiring her in the company, I would hire her. She's a great asset in case we ever got beef with another company. Wait, Sekhmet, could you have an amendment? We want to talk to you about some getting some revenge or some justice on another company. All about that. She's about that nonsense. The problem is she doesn't stop. So let me tell you the actual story, because this is one of my favorite stories that I like to talk about is F around and find out. This is something that we like to say over here. Fuck around and find out. Like, do something and see. Go ahead, see what's gonna happen. We love to watch people messing around and finding out, right? So what happens is everybody's messing around. Raw is like we're disrespecting Raw. Like, I show respect. I go out in the sun. I'm like, hey, what up, big homie? Yeah, whatever. Beaming a little bright, right? I don't disrespect. I don't get crazy with Raw. Because if she does, he calls her. So everybody was tripping, and Raw was like, you know what? I am tired of this. Somebody else says something crazy to me today, I'm going to call Sekhmet. That's what I'm going to do. And he did. And then she gets there, and he's like, yeah, just let him have it, man. Just start beating the ass. And she did. And then she didn't want to stop because it was good to her. She was loving it. She got what was called a bloodlust, right? Usually they show her all bloody and stuff. She gets a bloodlust. It's like, uh-oh. Whole armies went down before. Nobody could stop her. No deities stood before. Think about this. The other day I talked about Montu, and I don't want him to hear this. The other day I talked about Montu and how bad he is. He's like the hierarchy of all the gods in terms of like the war deity, right? The war skill. He didn't show up. We don't hear about Montu. We don't hear about Set. We don't hear about anybody. Nobody, none of the gods stepped up. They're like, uh-oh, this is a problem. All right? This is a problem. Like they had to get together with Amaterasu and like, okay, guys, we got a serious problem here. She doesn't want to come out. We had a serious problem here. She won't go back in the house. She will not stop killing. And they couldn't do nothing. Ra, eventually, Atum Ra, in personified form, came to her and was like, man, you did a great job, Sekhmet. Like, man, you just really handled that business. I'm so proud of you, right? Let's just go and take it into showers, get a Gatorade, ice up, man, just chill out for the rest of the evening. She's like, no, I'm good. The game's over. Like, this isn't even, we're not even in overtime. She doesn't want to stop shooting hoops, right? So he's like, no, I'm serious. Like I said, I'm Ra. Remember, you're the eye of me. I'm the Ra in the eye of Ra. That's me. That's my part. And she's like, he's like, so I'm ordering you to go back in. And she's like, or what? And that's when Ra was like, damn, because I ain't got no or what. Because my or what is you. You're my or what. And my or what just said, I don't know if you can take it. And he can't. So he backed up and they said, I got to figure something out. And everybody knows about Sekhmet. Yeah, she did with lions too. This is what the lioness does. They ain't playing around. Step up on them and see what happens. Okay? So they can't get her to calm down, but they know she likes beer. So they get a bunch of, she likes blood is what she really likes. She really loves drinking blood. I don't know what type it is, but if it's red, she likes it. And if you have it, she's going to like you too, right? Very lioness, right? Very lioness, right? So they get all this beer and they dye it red so it looks like blood. So she's like, oh, yeah. And she's just taking it to the head. She's taking it down like big tall boys of blood, of beer. And she drinks it and she gets so drunk. Because remember, their alcohol was a lot stronger back in these days, right? Even their wine. Like, with the Greeks, you got to water their wine down. If you try to drink some of that Greek wine right now, you'll be laid out in the middle of the street, right? Because it's too strong. We're soft. So we have to water it down to make it drink. So she was getting pure beer, like how it was made. They get her so drunk, and when she wakes up in the morning, she's not even mad anymore. You know how you get, man, she probably woke up, she's like, ow, man. Like, what happened last night? And they're like, yeah, never mind. We'll tell you about it later. You're cool now, though, right? Get her some water. Keep her happy. Get her hydrated, right? So they get her hydrated. Maybe they call a Shon or someone. They get her hydrated, and she's back. But historically, what she represents is the city of Memphis. This is Thebes. She was part of the capital cities, Thebes and Memphis. She's in some triads. She's a state deity. She's a war goddess. And she is a healer. She's both feared and revered. I revere her and kind of fear her a little bit at the same time. It's kind of like my mom. You're like, yeah, I'm kind of fearing you a little bit, right? But priests perform rituals daily to keep her appeased, to keep her happy. She was also associated with plagues and protection against plagues. And she is destruction with renewal. She is fire, solar heat, purifying energy. She is the sun as judgment on you. So in myths, she's very popular. Her myth still carries on. She's a symbol of feminine rage. She's power. She's frequently reimagined in fantasy and games, like all over. So she's probably the deepest. Again, her history goes all the way back to the early dynastic period where she emerges as an aspect of Ra, known as the Eye of Ra. And she becomes a force of control and manipulation. By the Middle Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom is where her worship was really strongest. She had temples, she had priesthoods, she was associated with war, with plagues, with healing. Take notes on this stuff. She became the healer and the destroyer, kind of like Shiva in that regard. Like Shiva's both a healer and a destroyer. So that's not uncommon. And then obviously with the decline, with the rise of Christianity around 300 is really when like Alexander came in, like I think he's like 330 or something like that. So in that period of time, that's when first the Greeks come in, and then later would be the Romans. And she just loses her popularity. And it's funny because a lot of a lot of the Kemetic gods or Egyptian gods were kind of absorbed into the Greek myth, like Thoth and Hermes Trismegistus is a direct line. Osset, Ishtar, or I'm trying to think of the other, like Hera, are kind of that same line. There is no Sekhmet in the Greek myth. They left her alone. They left her over there. Like I can say, oh, we had Hathor is beauty, Aphrodite's beauty. They did not have one that is wrath in the way that she is. Now she stays prevalent because of archaeology. Like she's been rediscovered through archaeology and just constant study, and she has reemerged because of her attachment to female rage, between female wrath. She's remained very prevalent. She's a symbol of female strength in war, in combat, and she represents it. Like if I got to get somebody to pick it, she's going to be the one that I'll go with. So a long history in this deity, and what we take away from the combined, like all these deities coming from different culture, was one, women represented the ultimate power as well. And that's what we see. Solar, solar, solar. That's as real as you can get in terms of defining it. Survival, authority, and punishment. Every aspect of fire that you can imagine is all wrapped up with these deities. Now, there may be some more commonalities among them, but the biggest thing is like the first two, they were kind of more almost victims in their stories, where Sekhmet is clearly the problem in the story. She becomes a victim later, the victim to a hangover. That's the only thing that could bring her down, was beer and a hangover. Those were her only two. Like otherwise, like she was unguardable. She's unguardable in the post. She was unguardable on the perimeter. She was flat out, MJ at his peak, right? She's like MJ like 96, right? MJ at 96, you could not stop this guy. You can't stop her. All these deities represent a different version of that female energy. And I wanted to make sure I was doing my part just to rep it, let people know what's going on. So I got that done. Like I really want to get to this MythLab. I'm going to be back. I actually have to run out and do some stuff for my job today. So I'm going to have to get out of the house and do that. So I'm going to get ready, have a little lunch, dip out. Then I'll be back this evening for another MythLab, and it should be even better than this one. But I'll also have this uploaded in bits. As always, hit that like and subscribe. And the comic book is coming along, so I'm going to be having that really soon. Cat, I'll have a special thing for some of my day ones. So I got some little gifts I'm working on for you guys. But I will be back later. Looking forward to talking to you all.